please help me welcome for a quick panel that will discuss some of the fascinating themes in this film. And we really feel this is a perfect other Israel film as far as Arabs in Israeli society and others in Israeli society, meaning Ethiopian minorities within Israeli society. Please welcome BJ Barahani, who is a fabulous partner of ours from the Bina Cultural Foundation, and Morad Farid. Morad Farid, a Palestinian soccer player, and to lead the panel from Soccer for Peace, Uri Winitzer.
Hi. Thank you all. I am the founder and director of Soccer for Peace. Our organization is different from the film in that I don't think we don't aspire to create professionals. It would be a great byproduct. We simply want to bring Jewish and Arab youth together in their shared love and prove that sport can be not only a metaphor for peace, but actually a vehicle for peace. I'll leave it at that. With regards to our work, I'd like to tie this back to the film and to our two panelists. The movie was quite rich in that it existed on many levels. It was a story about sport, about parenting, about love, about sibling rivalry, even in a certain sense. I'd love if you could each introduce yourselves and talk about your personal experience as it relates to the film.
Okay. Hi, good evening. It's afternoon, I believe. It's nice to be here. My name is BJ Barhani, and I'm the founder of the Beta Israel of North America Cultural Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating about the rich history of Ethiopian Jewry. Actually, one of the major partner is the JCC, where we have the Sheba Film Festival. We've been partnering with the JCC for the last 7 years. So thank you, Isaac. And beside that, we outreach to different communities, organizations to educate the diversity within Israel and what Ethiopian Jews have to offer to the global Jewish world at large. In terms of my experience in regard to the film, what I can tell you is that as an Ethiopian Israeli, that I arrived in Israel at a very young age, 7 years old. So majority of my life I spent in Israel. And about 13 years ago, I moved to New York. And you saw some aspects and the difficulties of integration of Ethiopian in Israel and how they feel in somewhat that they've been targeted and all of that. But I believe we can have a back and forth discussion about that. As overall, there is about 120,000 Ethiopian Jews in Israel. There were two major airlift, as I believe some of you heard of, Operation Moses. It was 1980, 81, which I actually arrived a little bit before that. And you had Operation Solomon, which was the airlift, where Ethiopian Jews directly flew from Ethiopia to Israel. That is just a brief overview, but I believe we can have a dialogue and discussion about the integration and life of Ethiopian Jews in Israel.
Hi, my name is Morad Farid. I was born and raised in New York. My parents are Palestinian. I grew up playing football, and I could relate to a lot of the complexities here, especially to Madi's father. I had a father just like that. Not joking, I really did. And throughout my life, playing football and being raised in Long Island, a predominantly Jewish community, I could also relate to a lot of the complexities socially. As being an American, as being a Palestinian, and being put in what is, for better or worse, a melting pot without a lot of guidance. And through football, I found a lot of personal answers. I loved the sports psychologist here, who talked a lot about how athletes at an elite level or aspiring to be at an elite level have to learn to love to be alone. And I certainly found that true, especially as a young player. I was at an elite level, and then as puberty hit, I sunk quickly. And then to try to pick myself out from that, I had to learn to love to be alone and train very hard. So when I heard about the Palestinian national team forming, I was about 24 years old. I graduated college and started working my professional life, which was pretty unfulfilling at the time. And I saw a story in the Wall Street Journal about a team playing for Palestine, and it was going to try out for the World Cup in 2006. So I left my job, and I forced my way into a tryout, and I could relate to the airport scene here. I mean, completely. And it took me 3 tryouts, but I eventually made the national team and played with them for about 2 years. We were based in right outside of Cairo, and it was right around the time Arafat was dying. So it was a really strenuous time in the Middle East. It was a really bizarre moment to be outside of my home, which is in New York, in Egypt of all places, playing in a World Cup qualifier. But what I loved was focusing on the football, and seeing life through football is always a lot more elegant than seeing it through political or nationalistic or religious, for me, lenses. And I'll just leave with this before I babble all night. We were able, I think, at many times as a team in Palestine to play, to simply play, and to forget any national identity and simply play as a team. And I thought what Maddie's experience was, when he talked about the national anthem, or he talked about, what his inner struggles were, I could resonate with that, and I think that's really what it's all about.
Great, thank you. I'll ask one more question, I suppose, of each of you, which is implicit in the film is exactly the point you just made. People coming together from various backgrounds, and it really is sport that's the common element, and that is, by the way, the genesis of Soccer for Peace. It's that you unite people in a mutually loved activity, ideally starting at a young age, and it's what they have in common that becomes the focus. I'm wondering if you could each cite something from your experience on an activity, presumably athletic in your case, in which you actually saw the otherness subside and something that enabled you to overcome religious, cultural, ethnic barriers and so forth.
Okay, let's see. I'm not a soccer player, as you but I know as the reason I was brought here because I'm Ethiopian. Well, I can say this. A lot of Ethiopian Israeli that grew up in Israel, they see themselves as an integral component of the Israeli society. We all try to see ourselves as part of Israeli society, but yet there is those issues of color. You heard him. No matter what, you will be judged because of your color. So, you can't overcome. Yeah, we came, Ethiopian Jews immigrated to Israel because they felt this is the place, is the land of the Jews and other people as well. And they sacrificed whatever it took. In my case, we walked from Ethiopia to Sudan in order to make Aliyah. And we wanted to do that because we felt the need, the urge to be there, free people practicing their faith. But somewhat, it wasn't it. There were a lot of issues of you had to convert. It wasn't Jewish enough. You were not Jewish enough. You have to go through that process. Some people were converted to Judaism without the knowledge. They kind of, told them, going to the mikveh, it was part of it. Just go and dip in and you'll be good. So, and actually by law, by the halacha, if a person went through that, it's not kosher. It's not supposed to happen. According to, he have to do it willingly and knowing where he going through. So this is a lot of issue. But in order, you come with the need that you have one aim regardless of color or faith. Yeah, we put it that way, but in realistically, there is no such thing really. No matter what, after in some point somebody will judge you and on that, on your race or your faith and so forth. So this young man, Israel, Hagos, he's trying very hard. You see from the point that he's straightening his hair because he thinks it's beautiful. People are somewhat brainwashed. Oh, straight hair is the best hair. I think my hair is the best looking hair. So it's a matter of, you do, and he's trying to get accepted to be part of society. But what is the other part doing in order to accept him as he is? So there is a lot of, issues and so forth. But this is just tip of the iceberg of the different things that we all need to overcome in order to understand people and accept them the way they are in order to be as a whole. You don't need to change me or convert me for me to be a Jew accepted in Israel. Those kind of things.
Just say sports seem to be the one thing where it really ultimately doesn't matter who you are. Played on every team. I think we've all participated in activities where at some point it just matters, how good you are, the content of what you do is. And one of the reasons I love what Ori's done with Soccer for Peace is it's one of the only platforms that focuses purely on that as a much bigger, more humane outreach. So